Sorry about that.
Any questions?
Thank you, Chair. Looking at that picture there, that doesn't look like it's been walked on for quite some time.
Well,
Can you just explain, from my paperwork here, it says from 1 up to 3, that gate's at number 3, so it's like the middle of the field.
I think that's one of the aspects of all footpaths within the Wakefield Metropolitan District Council. I mean, some are even worse than that. They get ploughed over in ploughing time. So you can't walk them anyhow because the ploughing is that deep. There's a lot around our way like that. But they are still there, marked with them different size. The chronology of this is this. That whole area is a ridge, and there were ancient medieval strip fields either side. Within Wakefield Council's own policies, you've got a very ancient Romano Britain settlement up there, and the strip fields are beautiful examples of medieval strip fields. Over the last 10, 20 years, they've been made into like prairie fields. All the edge roads have been taken away, and they're just the big fields now. So the landscape's constantly changing. For the last 5 years, nobody's been able to walk down there because that lady changed the lock on the gate to prevent people from going down and claims that it's her land and she doesn't want us to walk on it. Well, most footpaths are over private land. If you can't access it, it won't look like a lane. You can clearly see that people have walked there. The gates aren't there to stop people. The gates are there to stop cows and sheep getting out. The signs have only just started appearing in the last 3 or 4 years. No sign was ever there saying, private road, don't come here, keep out. All that's been added by the family who moved in the last few years.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How many families do you know that do? How many families do you know that do this walk, or that have done this walk?
It's difficult to tell. I've never been around with a piece of paper asking people stories, but everybody around our way, Featherstone is a small, tight-knit community. It's the old part of Featherstone. All the families there established for years and years and years. All of them have walked in. Everybody will tell you a story about picking blackberries down there because there's lovely blackberries growing there, sloes. There's the cherry tree at the bottom. Every family talk about walking behind cows when cows used to come up to dairy up there. There was a famous milk there. Cochrane's milk was famously carried down by horse and cart. Everybody, the kids followed the cows. The farmers have never stopped complaining to me. Mr. Cochran, who I said, can I walk down there with a dog? Yeah, of course you can. It's accepted that people walk down there. That's why people, when the locked gate was put on, people regularly watch it were given a key. Well, that doesn't seem like stopping people walking on private land to me. If you're given a key, you're given access.
Can I just come on that? If you're given a key, I can't understand it that if certain people are given a key and then others weren't, so that was saying that some people got access to them. And I don't know, I've walked this from Castleton down Cross Lane and through to Featherstone. I've done this, I don't know, hundreds of times. But I haven't done it last, I don't know, probably 10 years now. And you're saying it's in the last 5 years that the put a gate on. But if some people have been given a key, then why would some people be given a key and others not?
I'm still to hear that you walk that lane from the way from fast lane up parking lane. You wouldn't be able to do it now because the current owners of the house who put the lock gate across have put all their warning signs a bit further down fast lane telling people not to do it because they found that people were regularly walking up there and getting to the lock gate at the top and then they were telling them that they had to the back because they wouldn't let them out of the lock gate. The reason people had a key was that the farm and its barns was sold for redevelopment a few years ago, and the developer was willing. He said to me one morning, he said, gypsies are coming and stealing. Well, this is exactly what I said. This is I'm not being pejorative, but he said gypsies are coming and stealing plants. So I'm going to have to put a gate across the lock. Actually, they always have been a gate across to stop cows getting out. But he put a gate across and locked it. He said, but all them will walk down there with the dogs, I'll just give you the key. So we said, fair enough. We obeyed him in a way. You know, we didn't, there wasn't a big outcry, well, it's our right of way. We said, okay, if you're going to use a key, we can carry on walking. And then when the lady who was currently in Wakefield farmhouse came, she changed the lock, so our keys wouldn't work. And when I asked her why, she said that she now owned the lane, and it was her right to stop people going out. And well, I tell you what I did. I phoned the deeds people in the department in London, and I asked them, you're allowed to ask them one question, and I said, has Parkfield Lane changed hands in the last few years? And I could almost hear a laugh from the lady I was told. She said, well, not in the last couple of centuries.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, so if provided this walking path is closed, where is the nearest one for you and how far that is?
We're blessed in North Western. We've got lots of walking paths. I mean, as well as the public footpaths that are alongside the roads, there's a walking path right by my house. But there's paths over the old pit sites, there's paths over the fields, some of them over ploughed fields. There's one about maybe only 50 yards away from that path that takes a different route to Pontefract. If this route, this right way, can be established today, then you'd have a beautiful circular walk down Parkfield Lane, along Flass Lane, along the side of the motorway to Pontefract Park, and then back up again on another footpath to begin where we started. You'd have a beautiful circular route. And actually, Wakefield Council looked into it about 20 years ago as part of the health giving cyclone tracks that they were doing around the area. Because they thought then that it was a beautiful route. I can't explain to you the thrill of walking that Parkfield Lane. It's the most lovely ridge. How close you feel to nature, how close you feel to your own personal history. And how wonderful it is to go back off that walk and hear all the people say to you, oh, I remember going down there in just a foot walk. It's a lovely thing to hear. And we're being deprived of that opportunity for education. I take a lot. Sorry, Councillor Tennant will know this. One of my jobs is to take local school children from Thurston around on Livestream walks. The one walk I can't get them on is this, because somebody's decided to lock a gate across it. And it's got such a rich history that I can explain to the local school children. How can we be so enlightened on the one hand and then so stopped on the other? I don't understand.
Thank you, Chair. Ian, I can remember going down them things when I was a kid. We used to go people and many months ago.
Yeah.
You know, we used to sit eating mopeds and pulling line, but that's another story. But could you tell me, do you think these problems have all started since the buildings were made into homes and people moved in there?
I really don't want to suggest for a second that I'm against new people coming into an area. We thrive on welcoming new neighbours. And we should be like that. It's lovely. But in answer to your question, the troubles have started since the family who now live in Parkfield farmhouse came, because nobody stopped you before then. As you've said, there were people down there for the farmer. People gathered, I've said it once, I don't need to say it, but gathered blackberries down there in autumn. You see the seasons down there. And you're protecting it by walking it. I've stopped no end of crime being taking place down there. This is the first time I've ever said it in public, but a few years ago, I stopped 3 thugs with lurchers rabbit coursing on them fields. It frightened me to death because of the 3 big lads, but I spoke out against them. I stopped 2 young ones setting a fire down one morning, about 7 o'clock one morning. Farmer's got a big side of an old articulated lorry down there saying Jesus loves you, so the people on the motorway can see as they're going past. There were 3 lads sleeping in that one night. I catched them when I was down there early one morning and told them I will report them, but they were up to no good. So, by local people with local knowledge actually walking down there, you're stopping local crime as well.
You said the previous landowner put the locks on the gates, is that correct? Sorry.
Up until the redevelopment of the barns, there was just it was a piece of scaffold pipe on a swing, and it swung across to stop the cows going up to the main road. It's quite near to the main road. So he just swung it across to stop his cows. It went unlocked. Anybody who walked on just ducked under it.
When was it locked?
Well, there's 2 things, isn't there? It was locked by, what do they call that? A man called Farah was the first developer. I think about 7 or 8 years ago. He was redeveloping the land, and he locked the gate to stop, he said, people stealing his equipment. And he gave us a key.
He gave you a key?
Yes. And then when the new owners came to live there, they changed the locks.
Let me stop you to the previous owner.
Yes.
He gave you a key. Did he have the ability to prevent me from entering but allowing you?
That's a really difficult question. It's a very good question and a difficult one to answer. I mean, I think that man realised that people saw it as a right of way to walk down there, and therefore he couldn't really keep a locked gate to keep them out. Otherwise he'd have trouble with the local people who like to walk down there. I have always thought that public rights of way are open to everybody, and therefore if you wanted to enjoy that walk, you should have been given a key then if you could have asked him for one. It's a difficult one, isn't it? That dichotomy between protecting property and allowing access.
The point I'm getting to is he was able to select who he allowed to pass through.
Only in that he gave, well, he didn't select actually, because he never said you can come down and you can't come down. He looked at everybody who did walk down and made sure they had access.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
But it didn't stop you from letting somebody down that road with you?
I actually had a couple of keys cut so that people should go down.
Sorry,
Yeah. Ian, going back to when there was first obstructions put across, do you think it would have been better if people like yourself, instead of saying, oh, fair enough, I've got a key and so forth, that's fine, and actually said, never mind your key, I'm entitled to walk down there, and if people had hypothetically made a big issue of it then, rather than kind of like finding it was easy to go along with, swear, just take the key. Do you think that would have been actually better with hindsight?
With hindsight and with knowledge at the time, I think it would have been better. I agree entirely with you. Sometimes you go along with the flow of things. I'm not one for tumbling out with neighbours. The developer was quite a standoffish man, a very man of a few words. He wasn't the sort of man that you might find yourself getting into a discussion with, I don't think. I only saw him very briefly. He rushed past you with a mobile phone in his hand and telling you out the corner of his mouth what he wanted to do. So it was difficult to have a discussion. Yeah, I thoroughly believe that that is a right of way, has been for centuries, and we should perhaps have said something at the time. Yes, I agree.
Any further questions to Ian? No? Any questions to Livingston? Councillor Pleasant.
Stephen, can you tell me, has the landowner actually said why they don't want people walking down that, for whatever reasons that was said?
As far as I'm aware, they put the gates across for security of the properties.
Just a bit.
Yes.
No other issue.
No, as far as I'm aware.
Councillor
Thank you, Chair. It's a technical point. It's page 78, 12.3. It's to do with locking off a public right of way. Could somebody please explain to me, if we have a public right of way, and that public right of way is gated, a lock is fitted, and then that lock's keys are issued to general public and kept locked for 20 years, does that stop it becoming a public right of way?
Thank you. No, if a right of way has been established, it's established in law and protected in law, and there is no provision for example, if a route isn't used for a period of time, it still remains a right of way. If a gate is put across and blocked, and that is an illegal obstruction to a right of way. What we have here is this is not recorded as a right of way, and gates were put across it and locked, preventing access, and that is an effective challenge to any right of way. And the fact that people were given the keys, like Councillor of 20 years use. There's no disputing people did use it. But within that 20-year period that we're looking at, from 2016 backwards, there was this event when there was a previous gate that was locked and people were given the keys to that locked gate. So that interrupts the 20-year period that we're looking at.
Just a further question to that. So if a selected group or individual were given consent, would that amount to
it public use or private use? Public use is for the whole of the public, not selected numbers.
Thank you, that clarifies my questions.
Councillor
Yeah, on the options appraisal, if you make an order and there's objections, it becomes the Secretary of State's problem. If you don't make an order, there is still a right to appeal. If we all get together and they can appeal to all the wildlife and countryside. So there's appeal either way, whatever decision we arrive at. Is there any cost incurred to the council should anybody make an appeal?
Yes, you're quite right. There is an appeal if the council decides today not to make an order. I would say that members have to look at evidence rather than cost. It's evidence of use, evidence against that use. But to answer your question, the cost to the council, should there be a successful appeal against the decision, would be officer time and potentially holding a public inquiry. So that would be the cost. But like I say, members have to focus their minds on the evidence before them rather than anything else.
Any further questions? No? I can go to the officer's recommendations that we do not make public
Yeah, before we looked at vote on my house road, I used to walk this. More than 10 years ago, I used to walk it on a regular basis.
Because there is a gate box at the other end.
I think she's still on it, isn't she?
It's a matter for you, obviously. Just the fact that we walked it shouldn't prevent you really from voting on it. But it really is a matter for you. Can you do it with a clean conscience? Shall I put it like that? As my colleague said, well, in some ways it is evidence of use, so it is material in that sense. But really it is a matter for you.
So are you saying I shouldn't vote? I'll not vote. I'll not vote.
Well, the safest route would not to vote, but it really is a decision for you.
Told the wall, it's easy.
I'm sure it is.
It's smashing that somebody actually has walked it. You know, as a member of the public, not as a selected person with the
You're
key.
on to speak now, sorry. No, I forgot. Right, going through officer's recommendation is that an order is not made to record the act of the public. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, sure. On the kind of test that's put forward in the report, which is balance of probabilities, I think there's quite a lot of difficulty in interpreting the evidence that we've got in front of us. On balance of probabilities, I would have said that it's more than 50-50 that there was an established right of way. But it is balance of probabilities, sure.
Councillor Smith, just come up in that an order is not made to record the fact of the public footpath on a definitive map and statement the provisions of the Wildlife and Countryside Act. So you are voting that it was not made. So would anyone like to move that? If the order is not made. Seconded. In favour? Against? Stephen?
So, the order is not made. Council will now make an order to record it as a political path. Okay.
No, that's not correct, Stephen.
Isn't it?
No.
Sorry.
That motion has been defeated, so you need another motion to make the order. That's the process we're saying. So somebody will have to put that forward, that proposal, and second it.
Thank you.
Sorry. Sorry about
Look at it, Stephen.
Right, we have a motion for the floor.
That was defeated, so.
On to
Chairman, propose a motion that we make our this piece of
Second, Chair. Second,
Motion
Chair.
and a seconder, so now we go to make an order for in favour? Against? Abstention? And nothing's carried, an order is made for a public rights of way.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, agenda item 6.9 is Stephen again, it's an application claiming a public footpath between Leamore Road and Manchester Stanley.
Thank you, Chair. This is another application claiming a public footpath where there is none recorded. The matter first came to the attention of the council when the route was obstructed. And paragraph 6.1 in your report is a summary of all the user evidence statements submitted with the application. So the photographs you have here show the claimed route. This is from the junction of Leamore Road. And the public who have filmed evidence will state that they've walked down here along this driveway. And at the end of the driveway is where the obstruction is. Photograph 3 shows the junction with Rogers Court, as can be seen with the arrow. The red line is the claimed route. Photograph 4 shows an overgrown, I called it a path, but that's the overgrown claimed path. That is the route that was claimed as a right of way. First came to the attention of the council in 2020, so again looking at a 20-year period, 2020 going backwards to the year 2000. That is the period of time that we have to look at to see if people have used it without any action being taken. And the summary of the evidence is, like I said, paragraph 6.1, 29 user evidence statements used dated back to the 1940s. Steps have been taken by the owners of 18 Leamore Road, which is to the left of the driveway to prevent access. They have put signs up, they have erected the gate, blocked the path. They are not the owners of the majority of this. They have simply erected signs and the like. Now this is quite important, because if you're preventing the right of way from being established on land, you have to either be the landowner or acting on behalf of the landowner. So that's a summary of the evidence, both for and against. And the officer's recommendation is that there is sufficient
next 30 seconds.
Hi, I'd just like to explain, I am the owner of the house number 18, and I believe that the application is completely without merit and manipulated to create a false picture, whereas there is an existing appropriate footpath from Lemore Road to Rogers Court, which has already been approved by the Highways and Planning Department. It's just a short distance down the road. I believe a campaign was instigated by a resident of 30 Lemore Road, fueled by hatred and jealousy, to mislead local residents that a shortcut to Stanley Rangers rugby ground would be blocked. Whereas the application is for a footpath to Rogers Court, knowingly that this will provide a link to bypass Rogers Court and continue along the agricultural track road to the rear of the rugby fields. There is a letter from Wakefield Council held by Mr. Kumbacher of Roman Station Farm stating that when planning permission was granted for the rugby ground, one of the conditions was that the boundary between the rugby ground and the car track should be sealed off to prevent public access, and the existing entrance to the cricket club and sports field should be used, which again is further down Lemore Road. I believe that when the main applicant realised or was advised that to qualify for a footpath it had to run from highway to highway rather than highway to the back of the sports field, the application was amended to accommodate this information. We have evidence posted on social media to support this. There is no benefit to this pathway as it does not add to the convenience or enjoyment of the vast majority of residents in Rogers Court, as it only takes them round in a circle. So they enter at one end of Rogers Court and then come back out onto Lemore Road. In 1991, a barrier was erected across the cart track up to the existing brick-built water closet to prevent fly tipping and public access to people. Public access, and people were challenged and turned away by the owners of Roman Station Farm. I refer to you to the Highways Act of 1980, Section 33, Protection of Rights of Reversingers, and claim that the period of challenge stated when the barrier was erected was not stated in the applications. As the landscape changed and the posits were demolished, people illegally forced to route over private registered land where the former water closets existed. This was laterally turned into a bin and storage yard and is owned by the residents of numbers 18 to 30 Lemore Road and recorded on their property deeds. Therefore, the public had to trespass and force their way around the barrier through the bin and storage yard, contrary to common law. Regarding the cases making the order, I believe the applicants have been misled and confused. I am concerned that the applications and information lacks evidence that has not been verified. Thank you.
Any questions?
And how long have you lived there? Did you say number 18?
Yeah, I've been there 19 years.
19 years in November.
Any questions? Councillor Scott?
You've been there 19 years, and how many people have used that as a in that
The only people that have used it are dog walkers down to the rugby field.
And you wanted to stop those?
Yes. Yeah. Because you're not going from highway to highway, you're actually going down through an entrance into the back field so that the dogs can run on the field. And it is a sports field where children, train on there.
And how many years have you done that?
How long is it?
How many years have you done that? Were they doing that before you moved in?
Yes, I believe so, yes. But the farmer put the barrier across to stop them going through there, because people were fighting down there as well. But the barrier went up to what was the water closets then. Since the water closets have been knocked down, it's a bin yard where people keep all the bins and etc. there. And so people are crossing into the bin yard, which is private land. It's not unregistered land. And that bin yard is owned by the residents from number 18 to number 30 of Leamore Road. And to get around there, they've had to push the bins to one side and get through. The foundations of the water closet are still there. And it's on everybody's deeds in that terrace.
So she's answering my question.
Any further questions?
Wasn't you put the signs up then? Did you get permission to put them signs up?
No, we put signs up saying that it was only access to the residents of the terrace.
You should have had permission for them signs.
The permission.
You should have had permission to put signs up, and then you'd have probably sorted all that out.
Yeah.
When you did the signs.
Further questions? Any questions, Stephen?
Thank you, Chair. I can reasonably visualise this. Leamore Road, there are over 2,000 in the front, the road is going down. I believe they're mainly bungalows.
That's correct, yes.
So the question is, to see, it's been mentioned about cricket fields, sports field over here. Could you indicate on the plan where these, because they used to get to and from these cricket fields, sports fields, could you indicate on the plan whereabouts they are?
They're actually behind Roger's Court, sorry.
This is Roger's Court here.
Yeah.
The cricket field and rugby field in this sort of area here, to the rear of Roger's Court. This farm track here continues down along this way to access the fields on this side here, and the rugby pitch and cricket pitch are here.
Thank you. Okay.
We have got a speaker, I'm really sorry. It's Mrs. Cooper.
Got 3 minutes, Mrs. Cooper. Thank you for inviting me on to speak. And I'm really pleased to be here to represent the people of Rogers Court and the local community who have used the footpath for over 80 years. People of Rogers Court live in bungalows. They are mainly older people who have used that footpath for some 80 years. You can see within the evidence the age of the people who have submitted evidence statements, mostly older people who would either be going to Rogers Court, going from Rogers Court to use local community shops, services, visiting family relatives or family and relatives who would be visiting their parents or aunties and uncles that live in Rogers Court. There are 29 evidence statements from people who have used the footpath from Leamore Road to Rogers Court and vice versa. And when we were talking to people about the evidence statements, there were additional more than 15 people who felt unable at that point to give an evidence statement for fear of reprisal. The path itself has been used from the 40s, identified in there. On my plans, I live at number 16, which is just the right-hand side of the track going down. In my deeds, there is Occupation Road. That is the name of the road. So it was a road there that has been established for visit family and friends.
30 seconds.
Okay, and just, you know, to say that having the track blocked off has had a really negative impact on people's independence, the people that live in Rogers Court. They can, some people can no longer get to the shop and back themselves. They're struggling with the shopping. Neighbours have had to give people lifts to the shop, do shopping on other people's behalf, as well as the negative impact it's had on people's physical and mental health. The people in Rogers Court and local community welcome the recommendation to establish this as a footpath and road councillors that you support that recommendation today. Thank you.
Are there any questions from Mrs. Cooper?
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. You mentioned something about your deeds. I just missed that point. Did you say that road is listed as an easement on your deeds, or?
No, it's a public road on my deeds. It's a public road, occupation road, but you know, that's over 100 years. It has been there a long time. It's a public road.
Any other questions? Councillor Scott?
Is it in any landless handbook?
No, it's just a small track that goes, it may be maybe 500 yards, if that, I don't know, maybe yeah, that goes from Leamore Road to Rogers Court, and it's just a track that the people who live on Rogers Court have used to be able to access local community resources and visit family and friends and vice versa.
You partially answered the question, because on my map, because of my mirror, it does look like it's like a circle like that. I can see why it's like number 27, and then I would want to use that pathway down there instead of walking all the way down there to all the way down there to all the way down there. That is what we're saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an easement for them,
Yeah.
not to have to walk over it, but it's just a small one.
That's right. So
And you tell me that they're bungalows.
they are bungalows.
Any other questions? No? Thank you. Any questions for Stephen?
Just want clarification to this pathway, what Dr. saying, like here, it is from getting from this road to that little cul-de-sac of bungalows and things. It doesn't lead on to the fields and everything, does it? It's just that part there.
The matter before members today is the dotted line, shown on the line. Yes, public have used it as access to the field, but what members have to focus on is use between Rogers Court and Leamore Road.
From the year 2000 to 2000. And it's been used.
According to the evidence.
Any other questions? No? The recommendation is that an order is made to record the path as a public footpath on the definitive map and a statement from the provisions of the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981, section 53. Where
Move it, Chair.
seconded in favour. That is carried. The definitive will be put on there.
Carried that there is